Webb and Wright spent a total of 15 to 20 minutes before the court. Now this dismissal of Webb was a sign that the justices dismissed the state's case, but with everything Supreme Court, you don't know until it's written up. This was April, it got written up and published in November. Now, of course, when it was ruled in favor of the Japanese American community, there was great celebration in the community, and just like we had our big dinner last night at a big hotel, they had a big honorary dinner at the Biltmore Hotel. And just like we had a fundraiser at last night's dinner, they started a fundraiser. They launched a capital campaign to build the hospital. They raised $129,000 in 1928 money. They purchased the site at 1st and Fickett Streets. Now remember, the Turner Street Hospital is still open, still operating. They purchased a new site in a slightly different location. Sometime during that year, the stock market crashed, and then they opened 2 months after that, December 1st, 1929. So at this point, LA had 2 Japanese hospitals, Turner Street here in LA, Purple Star, Japanese Hospital of Los Angeles, over there in Boyle Heights. Actually, this website didn't include Boyle Heights on their map, so I had to stretch it out a little farther. So here is a picture of the opening of the hospital, and for the family members' benefit, who's here? Let's see. In the middle is Attorney Wright. That's my grandfather there. I believe that's my grandmother and some of my aunties over there. I can't identify anyone else in the picture, sorry. Look at the hats they had. This is the 20s. Opening day ceremony. Company President Tashiro read an opening address. They had 8 speakers, and Dr. Miyata Yujiro ended the ceremony with 3 bonsai cheers. Then from 1 to 5, the public toured the facilities. Not unlike programs today. A week later, they had a more exclusive reception, and Attorney Wright had this to say. I reordered some of his sentences, but it's all his words. I met the prince and princess Kayonomi yesterday. The prince and princess went through nearly every room of the hospital. It had 42 rooms. And they surely made the patients and everybody very happy. In the sunroom, reception was held for a limited number of people. The prince shook hands with me. I was told that I was the only one who had the honor to shake hands with the prince. The community has come quite a ways from being ignored by Japan to having a prince and princess come. Now, in 1924, again, before this decision happened, my grandfather hired a chauffeur, Hirata Masao. And according to Hirata, he opened his Gardenia clinic in the morning. After lunch, he used to go to his little Tokyo clinic. From there, he went to see patients at the old Japanese hospital. And one day, emergency visit from, I'm giving you this just to give you more of a viewpoint of what actually practice was like now. I'm shifting gears now. So there's an emergency visit from a farmer in Pomona. Little Tokyo to Pomona in those days, how long did that take? In the middle of the night, Dr. Tashiro and I hurried to Pomona. How can you hurry to Pomona in a Model T? Oh, and this is my grandfather's Zeiss microscope, which is on display on the 2nd floor up there. His black bag is not on display, but that's his black bag also. Well, such emergency calls were part of our daily routine. At times, he would hurry off upon an emergency call without even taking off his pajamas. In Santa Maria, Mr. Okamoto was run over by a farming tractor. Dr. Tashiro's expert operation and treatment helped to save his life. In those days, streets did not have any names, even in the city of Torrance. He therefore often had to search for the patient's house by relying on a conspicuous landmark such as a large eucalyptus tree. Is there anything else besides a large eucalyptus tree? I remember a night when we got to Redondo Torrance and our car got stuck in the mud. Once we got stuck in the mud in Inglewood, it took a long time for the 2 of us to get it out. call was different then. That's all I had to say about this. Fees. Most of us, and this is a different person, we're fishermen from Wakayama. Dr. Tashiro always said to us, pay when you have some cash on hand. So this is Mr. Matsutsuya. One night, he simply ignored the inquiry from the patient's family about the fee, saying, I know you don't have any money to pay. And then a third time, you need to be hospitalized. It's not time to worry about money now. What you must be concerned about is your health. Is this what your insurance company says? Now, a nurse. The other thing they had that really impressed me is, we call it providers now. We're medical providers. We're not doctors anymore. But anyway, right, my cousin Janice. This is a nurse, Tama Saito, is a surgical nurse. From Hilo, Hawaii, there was a Japanese hospital, and she came to LA. Dr. Tashiro's incessant pursuit for ever higher surgical technology was an inspiration to all the nurses who were expected to observe his surgical work closely and provide appropriate instruments to him without being asked. The result of such teamwork was that minimal time was needed for surgery. When a surgery ended successfully, he used to praise us for our efficient assistance. When has your boss praised you? No comment. Okay. Now, the other thing, since 1924 shut the door to further immigration from Japan, there were no more doctors who were able to come from Japan. It all depended on Niseis. Now, in the meantime, I'm told by many Niseis who were there that this school only let 2 in a year, and that school only let 2 in a year, and it was not a written quota, but it was there. So, beyond that, after they graduated, they couldn't get into internships. So, my grandfather and grandmother, and aunts, and my mom, they all took these people into their home. My grandfather had a library. They put cots in there next to all these medical textbooks. And they shared a large table. Thank goodness my grandmother had 2 helpers to help cook all this food. They would then go to his clinics in Gardena and Little Tokyo and on rounds now at the new hospital in Boyle Heights, Japanese Hospital of LA. They also co-authored several, they got 2 studies published. So, this is a summary slide of the Japanese Hospital of Los Angeles. Pre-war, it operated from 1929 to 42 when the evacuation happened. The Turner Street Hospital closed in 1935 and their staff merged into this hospital at that point. During the wartime, thank goodness there was Dr. Hatsuji Hara, who was very active with the Seventh-day Adventist community and White Memorial Hospital, and he had arranged to have White Memorial Hospital take trusteeship of the Japanese hospital during the war. And post-war in 46, these doctors, my grandfather, Dr. Kuroiwa, Murase, Murakami, Sekiyama, and some Nisei physicians, Paul Ito and Kobayashi, reopened the hospital, and it ran in this site, First and Fickett, until about 1960. After that is another story. That's the City View story. No time to do that now.